Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Friday Night Young at Heart, featuring nursery rhymes, stories, songs, poems, Mother Goose, Aesop's fables, Lewis Carroll, limericks, larks, epics, stories of the great operas, and such, to keep us all young at heart. And that's the truth. And tonight I'm going to tell a true tale. And a tale it is, a fable, a fairy tale, actually, by Hans Christian Andersen. I'm going to retell it in my own words, with my own embellishments, and forthcoming, you should too, because that's part of the fun of the handing down these ancient and not so ancient tales, older tales than contemporary literature allows. So, how would you begin to tell the story of the Emperor's New Clothes? I shall begin by saying once upon a time there was an enormous empire that took up over half the earth. And this emperor was a fairly wise ruler, but he was very vain. He was shrewd in matters of state. But when it came to his vanity and his extravagant collection of suits and armor, it was hard to realize it was the same person ruling this country. And his vanity was well known throughout the empire. He always wore the latest fashion, and he would be at pains to make sure that his version of the latest fashions were the absolute most perfectly tailored best. No one could outdo him when it came to fashion. So, just so happened that in this empire there was a crook who was very shrewd and who knew he could take advantage of the emperor's vanity. So he thought, and how could he get the most money out of presenting the emperor with a new suit without having to spend very much? In fact, without having to spend a thing. He thought, I shall evolve a textile that is so precious and so wonderful that it can be detected, it can be seen, its colors, its textures can only be discerned by the wisest and the bravest, the most valiant of individuals. And I shall take this textile, which, of course, does not exist, and I shall present it to the emperor, and I shall see if he pretends to see it, because no one can see it, because there is nothing to this but air. And so he does. Somehow or another, he weasels his way into the court of the king and has an appointment to present him with what he presented as the most unusual, the most astounding cloth to make the most handsomest suit that could ever be worn by the emperor or any other. So finally he's given entrance to the emperor, and here he is, pretending that it's of great weight. Sire, this is the most magnificent textile that you'll ever see. And you know that it has magical qualities because only this bravest, the wisest, the most magnanimous individuals can discern it. The emperor didn't know how to react, and so he said, "It's marvelous. Let me try it on." And so the tailor pretended, the crook, pretending to be a tailor, pretends to put his cloak, this suit on the emperor, and all of the emperor's cabinet and all the dukes and duchesses who are in his presence, they pretend to see it too, because no one would like to be deemed ignorant or not wise. So there he was in his undergarments, parading around the room, and deciding, because everyone was showing the most respect and the most sense of awe and wonder, well, let us have a parade, says the emperor, set for the very next day. And so all the people get ready. All of them he instructed were to wear their finest, but he would come last at the end of the parade to show off his new exquisite suit, and then he would find who in the kingdom, in this grand city where he emperored, who was the wisest and who was the fool. And so the parade began, and all the people got word. It spread like wildfire what the emperor was expecting, so everyone oohed and ahed and whistled at the emperor in his underwear. But there was one little boy who had heard about this nonsense, and he saw the emperor and began to laugh, and he said, "Look, look, the emperor has no clothes." Well, the emperor felt very, very foolish. Out of the mouth of babes. Meanwhile, the tailor crook, got a lot of money, and he, of course, had left town, and the emperor learned a lesson, a word to the wise, you know, and ever after he put on his clothes for every promenade and parade in which he was to participate I don't need in twice, right? Middle, the end. Very good, then. So there's the story. I had fun. You tell it in your own words, too, and have a wonderful weekend. God bless everyone, and tell the truth.